Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Nierychlo Online. Today, what I want to cover with you quickly is the cork, traditional cork versus Screwcap. Now, it used to be you'd walk into a store, liquor store, and you'd see several bottles with the Screwcap in it, and you'd always associate with a cheaper bottle of wine. Whereas the corks are the more expensive, the romantic bottle where you put your corkscrew in, you get to pull it out, you hear the when it comes out. Not so much the case anymore. A lot of companies are reverting to Screwcap now. The reason being, corks on average have about a 5% failing rate, for those of you who didn't know that. So if you think about it from a large standpoint, if you're producing say 50,000 bottles of a certain wine, that's about 1,000 bottles that take a loss out of that line. Now the reason a cork will fail, there's two different reasons. One, it won't seal properly and it'll allow too much oxygen into the wine, causing it to just go bad, taste foul on you. Too much oxygen will just cause the wine to age too quickly, and it's more or less leaving your bottle out on the counter overnight with nothing in it, nothing to preserve it, or a couple days. You know how it gets all austere tasting and just kind of, I don't know, vinegary? We don't want that. The second reason a cork will fail is because of a chemical makeup of something they call TCA. Not going to go too deep into that, but what TCA does, or how it comes, is during the process of manufacturing the corks and harvesting the corks. It's this acid that can cause the wine to go foul. Now, the way you recognize it, if you open your bottle of wine, you smell it. If for some reason you smell something that smells like damp feet or wet newspaper or wet cardboard, something foul like that, it's probably a corked bottle of wine. Now, don't write off that company. Go out and buy another bottle of wine or bring it back to your liquor store and they'll be happy to exchange it for you. Like I said, it's a 5% failing rate. Again, on the palate, it's going to taste kind of puckery. It won't be tannin. Your whole mouth will feel dry and just be very unbalanced and be just a taste that you're not going to enjoy. That's a surefire sign of a corked wine. Screwcaps are becoming much more mass-produced now because they keep wine, especially whites, much fruitier, more acidic, and fresh tasting much longer, which I'm very much in favor of, because a fresh, good, spring-tasting white wine is, I mean, you can't really beat it. So if you, I mean, I've seen studies done where they take a screw-capped white wine and a corked white wine that's say 4 or 5 years old, they open them, they taste them side by side, and the screw-capped white is much more fresh, much more fruit forward. The fruit is still really vibrant and just very enjoyable. Again, I personally love to see corks in wine. I like pulling them out. There's some romantic factor about unscrewing a bottle of wine, but whatever. Essentially, you're just in it to enjoy the wine. Now, with corks, one other little tidbit I'll add that I'm kind of in disagreement about. Red wine, especially red wines built to really age, a screw cap is going to allow it to age a little bit. The reason a cork will let a wine age well is because it allows very minute amounts of oxygen into the wine. Now when you have a big bottle of Bordeaux or Burgundy or something lying down for say 10 years, I personally think that the cork is the better route to let it age properly. It's going to develop the characters of age, the different colors of age, the mellower, softer tannins, the softer, cleaner fruits, the more integration, and the wine just smooths out and balances better over time, and I think cork can really accommodate that. Not to say, again, that Screwcap won't allow it to age. I think cork, for a big red, is going to allow it to age better. Again, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear what you have to say about that. So today, I brought a little bit of a different wine with me. It's a sweet wine. Sweet wines, I mean, I'm sure you've heard of ice wine. What this is a late harvest. So what they've done is they've allowed the fruit, the grapes, to mature a lot longer on the vines. And you've got to wrap the vines in netting and take care of it all from predators to allow the grapes to mature that much. When they get that ripe, when you ferment the wine, to make ice wine, not all the sugar is consumed by the yeast, leaving a residual amount of sugar left over, creating a sweet wine. The reason I call it a sweet wine, a lot of people call it dessert wine. A lot of people use them for dessert. I think it's a great appetizer. Get your taste buds going, get your mouth watering, ready for a meal. You can have it as a dessert as well. It just has so many different plays on its own even. So today, like I said, I've got the 2008 Paradise Ranch Late Harvest Merlot. One thing that I find quite attractive about this late harvest, and late harvest is quite expensive, same with ice wines, this is a $16 bottle. So I'm going to go ahead and taste it with you, and we'll see what we think. Remember how we taste? You saw my episode before. Give it a good swirl, give it a good sniff. And I'd love for you to find this bottle and enjoy it with me. For 16 bucks, you really can't complain. So on the nose, I get really big ripe strawberries, some peach, a little bit of apple. The other thing I would say I get on the nose is a hint of nice, round, soft plums. They really jump out. It's just quite vibrant. I really enjoy it. Now on the palate, I find this wine to be quite well balanced for a $16 bottle. The whole inside of my mouth is quite satisfied. I get the nice sweet notes on the front of my tongue. Mid palate's getting the nice little bit of spice off it, and the back end has nice length to it. It just carries on down my throat. As for taste, I would say this really reminds me of opening a can of fruit cocktail with that kind of sugar water in there to preserve it. But not as phony tasting, a lot more real fruit tasting. So you get some of the pear, the pineapple, the hidden red cherry that everybody always tries to find in that can that you can't get. The other tasting note I want to get off this is on the back end, it's got a nice little bit of spice too. I would say some cinnamon or nutmeg again, something like that, that just carries the fruit through, almost giving the fruit kind of a nice fresh baked pie aspect on the tail. This would go great. This would be a beautiful dessert. You could serve this with a nice pie. You could have it with whatever, like I said, an appetizer, a nice trifle. If you want to make a fruit forward trifle with some nice dough and whipped cream, things like that, it could go really well. It could also work as a base in something like that, some cake. Now, this is going to be the first plug I'm going to put on the show. I work part-time hosting wine tastings, selling wine at a little local store called the Wine Emporium. It's a VQA store, so we strictly carry BC wines, and this is again a BC wine. In order to get the VQA certification, your fruit has to be all from BC, and there's a certain quality level you have to maintain. So if you're from the Lower Mainland somewhere, Langley, Vancouver, Burnaby, Richmond, Chilliwack, whatever, go check them out. If you look in my links section to my left here, my favorite links, you'll see a link for the Wine Emporium. You may find me there on a given Saturday just tasting away with them or hosting a tasting. I will update you on days when I am hosting tastings there. But go in, you'll see Sylvia, you'll see Rena, Frank, who's the owner, his wife Marlene. They're all awesome people. They know a lot about wine. Super friendly. The atmosphere in that store is just very welcoming, and it's a place where you just want to hang out and you feel comfortable to do so and you want to come back. And they've got a fair amount of this one in stock now, so look for it when you're in there. And like I said, for $16 you really can't complain. Anyway, hope you learned something a little bit about screw caps and corks. Again, post your comments below if you agree or disagree. Again, this is going to be one of those arguments that's going to last through time about screw caps and corks. Seek this wine out. I really enjoyed it. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. We'll see you again.